Hi, the Brisbane Broncos are 5-4 after losing to the Sydney Roosters 38-24 on Saturday night in a game that I did not enjoy. In the main because they lost, but also because they threw away a chance of winning, and then for what they've lost afterwards. Starting with the last part, Dean Mariner almost lost his leg, Karapani had his ankle folded back in on itself, Adam Reynolds I thought was deceased for a moment and probably won't remember this game at all. What is happening to my boys? Broncos now have an entire team injured. This is insane. This is the cost of winning the premiership. Reece Walsh drank a poisoned toilet chalice that meant he'd play the best month of football anyone's ever played, but at what cost? Maybe this is it, like 80% of the salary cap injured. As for Mariner, the Broncos put out quite a detailed statement yesterday about what happened to him and when, and the reasons that they made the decisions that they did. Initially, Mariner suffered a bad cork in the first half, which took him off the field. He was able to keep himself mobile and return for the last 15 minutes, which he played. Then when they returned to the hotel before midnight, he was checked and they found that he was okay to go to bed. Then his condition worsened at 1:30. They did an ultrasound and saw it was acute compartment syndrome. Soon enough, he's having limb-saving surgery and he's out indefinitely while the swelling in his muscle resolves. For him to recover, the wound actually has to stay open the whole time while the swelling goes down. Sounds real bad. Now, that information has been made available with Mariner's consent, but it's hard not to feel like that was necessary based on the way that rugby league's best and brightest had already tried to blame the Broncos staff for not picking up on the injury sooner, as if they have MRI vision, or that Mariner's leg almost exploded in round 9 because Madge trained them too hard in the preseason. Now, what I share in common with rugby league's best and brightest is that I have no idea how the human body functions, so I'm going by the Broncos chief medical officer in saying that acute compartment syndrome is a rare injury which can develop quickly, in this case 90 minutes from being cleared for bed to being hospitalized. It seems like this is a situation then when thanks are more necessary than blame. A lot of really qualified people acted quickly to deal with what seems to be a rare emergency situation, and I'm glad that Dean Mariner will keep his leg and I hope he's back on the field as soon as possible. It's just a shame. He's been having such a good season. He must be absolutely devastated right now. I'm sure that's probably the last thing on his mind after being wheeled into surgery and being told they need to operate so he doesn't lose a limb. As for Karapani, this is where it's time to talk about Victor Radley, who, as previously established, is overrated, a cheat and a cat. That take kind of escaped containment and got a couple 100,000 views across various platforms. If you missed it, Victor Radley doesn't know how to tackle and doesn't know the rules. And what I find funny is that as at time of recording, there's been like nearly 900 comments on that quick take where I make one argument that Victor Radley doesn't know how to tackle. Not one of those comments has said that Victor does know how to tackle. A whole lot of them about me and how many tackles have I made and so on and so forth. First, I'm shielded from ad hominem attacks because you're not engaging with the central argument and I don't respect your opinion. But also, what does that have to do with it? Of course I'd never tackle Pat Carrigan because I'm pure of heart and I would simply let him stroll on through to the try line, tearing off my blue jersey and outing myself as a traitor the whole time. Anyway, I'm not important. We've got a game to discuss and Josiah Karapani is injured because Victor Radley doesn't know how to tackle. This is a hip drop which directly causes an injury, and hey, sure, the match review committee chose not to charge Radley for this or any of his heinous offenses in this game where he was placed on report 3 times. And you can say the match review committee has spoken in the way that you're watching the Michael Jackson movie with a clear conscience. Okay, guy. The match review committee isn't going to matter on Judgment Day. You know that Radley is a dirty player and at the very least deserves to be sent off in that game for his multiple high contacts, whether that's turning himself into a human missile and launching himself into Carrigan's jaw, or the run-of-the-mill reckless disregard for the positioning of his arm as it relates to an attacking player's head. But you know, he's only been doing it his whole career. Speaking of Pat Carrigan, while I was very glad to see him back on the field after serving a 2-week suspension for dishing out lesser contact on Tom Chester than what he received, and he, for the most part, played to his usual incredible standard, there are 2 decisions he made in this game that kind of let it slip. This is third tackle, just under 11 minutes to go in a 6-point game. Carrigan brings the ball up and while being tackled by 3 players, attempts an offload when no one's there to catch it, or maybe he thinks he might drop it in the tackle. I'm not sure. But this is a guy that averages 1 offload a game, and it's a let-off from the massive amount of pressure that the Broncos had been building in the half, and then the chance of completing the comeback completely dissipate when Carrigan is called for another 6 again for being in a very regular tackle, and having to defend another set in their own half. Katoni Staggs carries on with a tackle out of frustration on Savala, who got the better of him once in this game, and unfortunately, despite the standard of physicality that Adam G was prepared to tolerate when committed by one team, you just can't elbow dudes in the back of the head, especially not directly in line with the touchy or in an arena with thousands of cameras. 2 weeks for Staggs, maybe misses Origin now 2, not the worst result for the Bronx, but it does mean that the Broncos' back 5 is slowly getting down to 3 and it might only be 2. Then with the Broncos defending a man down, Mariner back on and doing as best as he can to move at all, the Roosters kick a penalty and put on another score and it's over. That 60 seconds of play isn't why the Broncos lost, but it's when they lost. And considering the first half they had to lose the game in minute 70 and not minute 30, shows how good this team is when they're not being dumb Broncos, because dumb Broncos were back in this one. First half, Broncos only have 34% of possession, completing 8 of 12 sets. The Roosters complete 22 of their 26 sets and spent 78% of the first 40 minutes in the Broncos half. Broncos gave away 5 set restarts, committed 5 errors and gave away 5 penalties. Doesn't matter who you're playing, you can't beat anyone with those kind of numbers. Okay, well, Maybe the Dragons. Coming into this game, I felt okay about the continuing front row partnership of Tolte and Gosiewski with Willison playing 11. I thought it was a considered gamble trying to get an advantage through Willison out wide, but the props would have to play at another level coming up against a real forward pack this week. I was especially worried about Naf White, and let's see what the Roosters thought of that. They immediately attacked Tolte and Gosiewski and scored. Naf White gets them both in a tackle with Willison in the middle. Robson Scoots gets them both involved again and leaves them behind with a very quick play the ball. Willison's still getting back from the tackle on White, and the Roosters know exactly what to do. It's the golden rule of scoring against the Broncos. When Ezra's edge is elsewhere, run directly at him and score in the man gap. It's good football by the Roosters. They get everything they want from White. A single quick play the ball, and that's enough. Tedesco and DCE both still very good at footy. That was their second set with the ball and a worrying start. Naf White is a problem with a capital P and also an R and maybe the rest of the letters too. In 66 minutes in this game, he ran for 194 metres, 100 of those post-contact, and the Broncos had absolutely no answer for him. Robson was also excellent. A truly elite 9 is something that the Roosters have been missing these past few years. He's not hugely creative, but he's reliable, and being the fourth option gives him the chance to step in infrequently and really throw off a defence. Roosters' second try came after Robson put in a nice grab at the line. Willison can't help himself and tackles Tedesco in the air. Then Naf White has a run that takes all the attention to the right side of the field. Broncos are compressed on the right, so the Roosters go left. And remember last week how the Broncos were able to defend an attacking play where they were outnumbered by holding out, baiting a pass from Connor Tracy and cutting down Stephen Crichton? This is like the exact opposite of that. It's also 4-on-2, which is more difficult, but Katoni has to worry about Tedesco, Crichton, and Savala, and Tedesco has him on an island. Then Savala gives the answer to, why would you put a half into centre? He puts it on a platter for Tupou, who has about 15 square metres in which to beat Mariner. Broncos' best bet at that stage is him dropping it over the line, which, for a guy who has scored 190 tries, is something he does confusingly often. Prior to that, they were defending well. Roosters had a whole lot of ball and were turned away often. At one point, they defended 5 straight sets on their own line, which apparently made Reece Robson so frustrated he threw the ball directly out of bounds. The trouble was, the Broncos were just horrific with the ball the few times that they had it in the first half. Maybe things would have been a little different if Adam G had made a call when Radley turned himself into a missile aimed for Carrigan's head to break the momentum of the game and give the Broncos some clean ball, but they got split action wrong again when Mam and Walsh found themselves out of step on the play for the 3rd time this season, which is odd because that's the signature play. They've run it so many times, there's no doubt they've practiced it even more. And on all the times it's not worked this season, it's been due to their errors and not the defense rushing up or anything like that. Maybe Ezra and Reece just need to go bowling or something, get themselves back into sync, because the only team that can stop that play is the Broncos, which we got an example of when Walsh read it wrong and missed the short ball to Ricky late in the half, which would have got them into the sheds with at least a couple of points under the belt. Remember that play for later. I guess Walsh forgot that Ricky is not always a decoy this season. Anyway, they concede again on their left edge. I think at this point Mariner is already injured because normally he's getting to that ball first and putting it out of bounds. Very nice kick by Walker though, then Walker jumped onto a good bounce at the end of the half when Watson is looking to put one in behind Karapani, and it's the same old thing. If you're chasing when you'd have an excuse not to be, you're more likely to end up with the ball. Air balls go to the offense. It's the way of things. The way of kings. Someone distract me. I don't want to talk about this game anymore. But that was only the first half. Let's do the second half real quick. Adam G shows his extraordinary powers of observation when he sees Adam Reynolds motionless after a tackle when he's been slammed into the ground, so doesn't stop time immediately saying, I didn't realize he was knocked out. Brother, he's not moving. Are you not looking at the play of the ball? He's in it. Roosters cross when they're attacking Gosiewski again and catch him trying to help Semu, who probably didn't need it. Another good game from Semu, who's coming along well. Credit though to the Roosters players who very quickly checked on Reynolds after celebrating. Then with 33 minutes to go, the Broncos get a spark when Walsh makes a try-saver on his back against Savala, who for some reason ran towards the corner between him and Walsh. Also, Walsh tracking the play backwards, very impressive. If the Broncos had won this game, that's the play that you point to as the start of the comeback, and that's the start of this video if they'd pulled it off, because all it takes after that is just the slightest amount of possession for them to start scoring. 4 tries in 15 minutes to almost make up the deficit, and it starts with Walsh making his favourite flat pass to Shibasaki, getting a quick play the ball and running directly at Naf White and Angus Crichton, staying so low the whole time and burrowing through. He's just so strong. The next opportunity came after Cody Ramsey, who, like everyone else, I was very happy to see out there, dropped Walsh's kick. Walsh attempts to put Staggs through and Sam Walker acts as a trip hazard, very Karapani-inspired tackle there. And they go back inside and Duffy has options all around him. He looks like he's about to set Mam free to go one-on-one with DCE, but he's only got eyes for one man, Mr. Standing on Business, who is back on the field in the middle now and probably should have been there all game. And the ball is the kind of gift I'm looking for Mother's Day. Hey, hi David Jones lady, do you have anything in the variety of a Tom Duffy short ball to Xavier Willison in the 58th minute in Sydney? Like as a bag or maybe a shampoo? Also, Willison promised to do the Cole Palmer celebration for Kids in the Mudder, and I will not stand for the erasure of Trey Young, one of the greatest sporting villains of the decade. Also, Willison is playing centre on my first team all NRL. Dream Buller, Big X, some other guys, we're still working on it. Anyway, Broncos score the set after points after huge runs by Willison and Staggs. They end up recovering the ball in the corner after Karapani comes down with it when Ramsey knocks it on. And in the ensuing what just happened, Pat Carrigan scores a rare try before the Roosters have even formed a line. Broncos cottoned onto it quick. Karapani tries claiming a try for half a second, then Duffy's directing traffic. Walsh is trying to run as fast as possible. Pakes just trots on up to the play the ball like he knew it was always going to happen, and he gets the ball away to Paddy. It's just, again, such a shame that they blew it. This would have been an all-time comeback. They got a Carrigan try in it. Then the Roosters' grub streak happened in the space of 3 tackles, a hip drop, high shot, no send-off. It's ridiculous. And I'm not so naive as to expect consistency from NRL referees, but I mean, when 3 tackles in a row go wrong, maybe that's the point for intervention. Well, sorry, Adam G did tell Victor Radley to calm down. But it doesn't matter at that point because Walsh could beat 13 men no problem. They set up for split action, targeting Stags. Everyone's waiting for the pass out back, and the Roosters find themselves deceived. Jordan Ricky is in clean air. Comeback is nearly complete. Then Carrigan spills a 12 out, and we've come full circle. Roosters get one more to put it beyond doubt, plus a weird penalty I still don't understand after they get called for an obstruction. But Carrigan dug a hole, Stags fell in it, game was over after that. So, what can we take from that game? Maybe don't spend the first 40 minutes dropping the ball and giving away penalties, but also a 30-point comeback is kind of in range. Willison is absolutely that guy, that's undeniable now. It was starting to be evident last year, then he broke his arm and missed a bunch of games, but now he's getting into that top tier of forwards. Him and Naf White might come off the bench for New Zealand in the World Cup. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to stop them. We're getting some more evidence that Duffy is the real deal as well. As soon as he stepped on the field, it was as if he'd been playing the whole time. Then the same old thing about Walsh. There's nothing really that he can't do. There's never a bad time to give him the ball. He's just the best. Anyway, 3-2-1 for best on ground. I'm going Walsh, and you're not going to stop me. Then Carrigan and Stags both played good games, but became ineligible for the way that it ended. So it's Wilson getting 2 points and leading tackler and just gruntman Corey Pakes for 1 point. Anyway, I've spoken about this game so long, we're basically at the Manly game by now. Xavier Willison, meet me for shoot around. Bye.